Adidas are coming out with another night jogger, and you'd think, yeah, it's a night jogger, doesn't mean very much, not much to look at, but no, this one is absolutely fire, and it's absolutely unique. The night jogger line has sort of had a common thread all the way from the 70s, 40 years of history, and that common thread has been all to do with little flashes of 3M in there and some color blocking in particular places throughout the sneaker. They're throwing all that out the window. They're doing it in a completely different way. It's still the current generation of night joggers as far as the silhouette goes, but the color blocking and the design on it is completely different. So it's going to be an absolute thrill to bring you guys today the upcoming release of the Adidas Nite Jogger 3M. This is the Talking About a 23 Sneaker channel. Talking About a 23 Sneaker channel. It is my niche absolutely no day, my niche media design. Every single day I bring you content from Tokyo, Japan about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today it's hard. In fact, it's doubly hard. Everybody out there is really struggling because of this coronavirus situation, and Japan is no different. I'm sure if you're here, you know that. And if you're overseas, you've probably seen the news about this gradual lockdown that gets stricter by the day. At the moment, we're talking about 300 new cases a day and about 10 fatalities a day. So compared to the rest of the world and a lot of places in the world, the UK, Spain, Italy, the US, it's not at all as serious, but what they're trying to do is to prevent that. And of course that makes things harder. Here I am shooting content from my living room, which I don't like to do. I prefer to shoot it in the studio. But you know, as we've got this lockdown going on, I have to stay at home and I'm going to do that. But not only has that made life extremely hard for me, today I have two more reasons that things have gotten even harder. The first is that I had a really busy day at work, and I'd usually shoot this video earlier in the day, and I'm shooting at night time. Right now it's 11:10 p.m. at night, so I have no idea what that's going to do to the green screen. Like I said, I don't like to shoot at home because I can't control the light, the sound, and those kind of things like I normally would do. And then here I am shooting in the middle of the night. It's pitch black outside, and I don't know what effect that's going to have on things. And the other thing is I've gone and done my back in. it's like you know, everything's trying to stop me from doing this daily content, but I will not stop. I haven't stopped doing daily content for something like 500 consecutive days, and I'm not stopping, even though my back is absolutely killing me, even though I'm locked down in my house, even though it's the middle of the night. We continue, and I will keep coming at you guys and giving you that daily content. And today it's those 3M night jogger sneakers. Now, I said at the start of this video that one of the main points of this upcoming release that you can see behind me here in these two colorways in red and grey, and we'll get into the details of that as we go through this video. But first I want to have a quick look back, go back in time and have a look at the very first night joggers, and then we'll look at some more night joggers that are from this current generation, and I'll show you what I see as the standard or the common sort of blocking as far as colouring goes on a night jogger, and then you'll see why this particular pair, or these two pairs, is very super unique. So let's go way back to the 70s when the first night joggers dropped, and hopefully behind me here you can see that right here. And the big thing on it was the sort of orange detailing on there. It was very sort of subtle, but what you should be able to see, hopefully, if I've managed to find the right pair of sneakers here, it's a very sort of standard looking Adidas sneaker with the three-stripe branding, and it's sort of a standard blocking as far as the positioning of the colouring goes, where that three-stripe branding colouring versus the actual, you know, colour of the upper and things like that. What was unique about these night joggers was they were reflective, and for their time that was a really big advance in technology so that people could go running at night and have a little bit more safety, you know, alongside roads and things like that. The car lights would show up their shoes, making it a little bit more safe. But still the blocking's there. It's a sort of, it's not a single tone sneaker, it's a multi-tone sneaker with sort of standardized blocking. Then if we fast forward to this latest generation, which have been dropping for probably about 18 months now, maybe 12 months, this latest generation of night joggers, and I have done a few kind of reviews down the last 12 months or so. I think I did a triple black one. I think I did an original OG one as well. Hopefully I'll be able to throw them up on the green screen as well right now, and you'll be able to see them too. And what they've had all along so far in this new generation of night joggers is similar to the original generation. The blocking of the colours, they're kind of mixed throughout the shoe, and there's hits of colour here. It's not a solid single colour. It's a shoe that's broken into different little parts, and those little parts sort of tell the whole story of the shoe. But what we've got going on now, and I'll bring back this latest version, it's still the latest silhouette, it's just the colour blocking that's very, very different on it. And what you've basically got got is an all red shoe and an all grey shoe and nothing else. They're basically one colour shoes. But then on top of that colouring, you've got that 3M branding. Now, it's not discreet, and it's not like little hits of 3M in there to make these guys reflective when you're running at night time. No, no, no. This is, you know, in the middle of the day, these things are going to be reflective by the amount of detailing that's going on them, and then branding, and the amount of branding on there. Now, what it reminds me of is a very recent drop, which was the Superstar labels. Hopefully, again, that's behind me here. And that was a Superstar to celebrate 50 years of the Superstar, with all these Adidas labels all across the entire length of the upper. The same label, the same size, the same colouring, the same design across the entire upper of that sneaker. And then if we flip over to these Nite Joggers that are coming out soon, I think on the 1st of May, if I remember rightly, but don't quote me on that. You can see it's got that 3M Scotch-Lite sort of labeling on there, but it's a similar, it's the same, I think it's two labels, if you like, that are placed across the entire upper of the sneaker, the 3M one and then the Scotch-Lite one. So there's a bit of a balance, if you like, you know, between the large 3M and the small Scotch-Lite, which you didn't see on those Superstars. But it is front to back, the entire sneaker, just like those Superstars, covered in that branding and that detailing. What I particularly like about that branding and that detailing is that they haven't just stopped on the upper, but they've gone into sections of, for example, the midsole and sort of, you know, the heel counter and places like that, where they've added that branding. So it's kind of more universal. I remember with the Superstars, like the toe box and the heel branding, for example, were different to the actual labels all the way throughout. So so it's unique in those ways. And then what's also on top of that is you've got the two different colorways coming out. We'll start with the grey one behind me here, and you can see that reflective pop in there. It's not only on the branding, but it's also on the 3-stripe branding up the side, and then on that heel branding on the back. So it's got a whole, in fact, I would go so far to say more than 50% of this sneaker is 3M branding, which totally goes against the sort of narrative of the Nite Jogger line. It's always been about little hits of branding to catch the lights, whereas here it's more about the branding than the sneaker itself, if you know what I mean. So so you can see that all the way throughout. And then if we flip it over to the other colour in this pack, and you can see again, I think it's the red one now. I forgot if we mentioned the grey one first, or the red one now. An all red sneaker with that 3M branding across the entirety of the upper. It looks really, really good to me. I think these are a really, really cool sneaker. I love the detailing on it. I love the idea of having this branding across the whole length of the sneaker. And then on top of that 3M branding, you've also got the 3-stripe branding and the heel with its 3M hits on there as well. So for me, it's actually a very big yes. Now, one of the major yeses on it is that midsole on there, because that too is in the base colorway. They could have gone with a different colorway on there, for example, just a full-on white boost on there, or tried to match the 3M branding. But instead, what they've done is they've taken the base color of the upper, red on one shoe and grey on the other, and then they've mimicked that down below on the midsole, and that midsole full-length boost. Now, to me, it's a great-looking sneaker. I've always liked the Nite Joggers, but whenever I've got them in hand, I've always been a bit disappointed with how, maybe the word is flimsy, that the upper is, because the upper is very, very, I can't think of anything else to say other than flimsy. There's not much to it, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It kind of reminds me in a way of the Yeezy 700 MNVNs, and they're lightweight uppers, and they're very, very lightweight. They are still maintaining that heritage of being a jogger's sneaker, supposed to be light, to be less heavy on foot, to, you know, improve your times and your running. And of course that full length boost unit on the midsole as well does that too. So but having that boost unit on there and that color to match the rest of the upper is very, very cool. I think the uppers themselves, like I said, maybe a little bit flimsy, but they look good. And it's the same to me with NMD R1s. I'm a fan of the way NMD R1s look, but when I get them on feet, I'm always a little bit disappointed with how they feel. And it's the same with Nite Joggers, is that I'm a fan of how they look, but whenever I get them in hand, it's always kind of like, you know, I was expecting a bit more construction, a bit more detailing on there. And they are very, very simple in that upper design, that lightweight upper design. But having said that, I would say for sure that these guys, these 3M brands, branded front to back, the entire upper of the sneaker front to back branded in that way, is my favorite Nite Jogger that I've seen of this latest generation. And I've seen quite a few. I have to admit, I've looked at quite a few of these sneakers for the channel. So for me, a very cool sneaker, a very cool tie-up with the 3M branding instead of it being discreet in your face. And it's one of the best Nite Joggers, if not the best, of the latest generation that I've seen so far. Hopefully you guys agree with me out there. Now it's time for me to check off. It hurts. I won't lie to you, it's been quite painful to stand here for 10 minutes and do this, but I just won't let anything slow me down. I mean, obviously there are things that could come along that would just stop me and I wouldn't be able to do this daily content. But since I think it was something like December the 9th, 2018, I've dropped a video every single day and I want to keep doing that. So even with this back, even with it being the middle of the night, even with this lockdown for the coronavirus, I'm still churning out the content, even though it is quite tough and quite painful. But I'm going to keep on keeping on. For now, though, it's time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out my content. And I'll do what I do at the end of every single video, which is say that because I do this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.